Hey everybody, Dave here. Power Automate Desktop just got a lot easier to use. I know that I've seen a number of comments on past videos and stuff. We have all been super frustrated with the fact that it's hard to manage variables and UI elements and stuff. And while granted, it's not necessarily an improvement directly to those, the fact that we can now run a desktop flow from inside another desktop flow is actually amazing. We don't have to worry now about putting all of the logic you want in a single automation into one desktop flow. You can split it up into 5. You can split it up into 15 because then you can make one parent flow that will call all the others. Or if you want to make a reusable flow that you want to call from a bunch of different flows, you can do that too. The world is at our fingertips. The way I'll start in this video is by creating a flow that launches Spotify, and it also will click around in the UI. It'll create a playlist, and then it'll also play one of the playlists. So it'll do a number of different things like that. I'm going to show all of that in this video, what I built. But that's not really the point of this video. So let me just show you up front in case all you want to know is how do you use a desktop flow. So let's say you have a whole bunch of logic here, which I'll build in this video, and then you want to actually split that up into separate desktop flows. You can just create separate ones, and you can literally copy and paste the actions into those other flows. You don't have to do anything else. It just works immediately. The UI elements are copied over, variables, whatever. All that stuff is just going to work. And then what you can do is build a master process to call each of them. Show you what that looks like is it's going to call each of these other ones, and you'll recognize the names. If I search back over here for Spotify, you'll see that I have click around, create playlist, play playlist, and then this Spotify open, which I used just for the purpose of making sure Spotify is open. This Spotify open desktop flow is called from within click around, create playlist, and play playlist. So you don't actually see it over here, but this is just going to call one desktop flow after another, including the RPA challenge desktop flow, which I made a while back, and then a silly one that involves trying to do some math, and I end up actually messing it up. So let's go ahead and run this master flow and see what this is going to look like. I'm going to click it, and then it's going to open up Spotify. And then once it's in there, it's going to click around a little bit. It's going to add a playlist and put some songs into that playlist. And then it's going to click on the best classical music playlist and click play in that so that it kind of gets things set up for me. Granted, this is just a made up scenario, but this is just showing like what you might do if you were going to do a workflow involving a desktop app like Spotify. So there you go. It clicked best classical music and click play. And now it's running through the RPA challenge automation that I made a few months ago. You saw it went really fast. That's because since I originally made it, I discovered that there was more settings inside of Power Automate Desktop you can change to make it go faster if the application can handle it. And in that case, it's a web application that isn't actually communicating with the server a whole bunch. And so it can run really fast locally. And so I removed some of those weights, and you saw it ran extremely fast. But that's not really the point of this. The point is that it did all of that functionality, including this little pop-up where I messed up the math, but we won't talk about that. It did effectively what it was supposed to, which is to pass an input into a desktop flow and then get an output back out. And you'll see that at the end if you watch this. There's a whole bunch of possibilities here, but my favorite is that you can build one flow to do a certain task and then call it from other desktop flows. And if you ever need to make an update to that, you only have to make an update one time in one place. Then everything else effectively just gets updated. Whereas before June 2021, when this update came out with this new feature, you had to just copy paste your actions into every flow that you wanted it to be in. This is such a major change. I hope you enjoy the video. Let me know what you think. Hey everybody, Dave here. Today, we are going to try out a new feature in Power Automate Desktop. In June 2021, that was last month, Power Automate Desktop got a new feature called Run Desktop Flows. What this allows you to do, like the update says right here, is you have the ability to run desktop flows from another desktop flow. Surely you don't have to use it. You can do a lot of things without ever using Run Desktop Flow as an action, but I'm telling you, you will benefit so much by implementing it. I've spent a little effort doing a proof of concept around automating the Spotify user interface. Whenever I want to use a new feature, I don't want to just make up a scenario. Like, I think a common thing is printing hello world to the screen or doing math operations, adding and subtraction and stuff like that to just use a new feature. I want to do something that feels cool and is fun to do. So I've created a temporary Spotify account. This is what we're going to use to try out this new feature of running desktop flows from another desktop flow. The way I want to start off is let's build the way we used to. Let's open up a desktop flow. Let's build a few actions in that will automate the user interface of Spotify. After that, let's use the new feature and see how good it feels. So I'm going to go over and create a new desktop flow. We'll call this Spotify All. And what I'm trying to suggest here is let's put all of the stages directly into this one flow. I'll click create. Now, the first thing we have to do is something that I would probably, if this were the first time I was trying this, when I'm recording this right now, then this would probably take me like half an hour to figure out, because that's what I had to do the other day when I was trying to figure this out. So I'll just give you the answer for this, but launching Spotify when you are using it as a Windows Store application is a little different from launching just a regular Windows application. Normally what you can do is go to the start menu, type in the name of the app, right click on it, and then do like go to file location or something. You just find the location of the executable file and then run that. It's a little different in this case because it doesn't work that way. So I press the Windows button and then I search for Spotify and this comes up. But if I right click on it, so there's a little bit cut off at the bottom here. Just to point out here, there is no option that says go to file location. The answer ended up being that you go to your program files location, and then you have to have hidden files exposed. You also have to grant yourself permissions to actually go into this directory of Windows apps. Once you've done all that, then you can go down and find the Spotify folder right here. One of these works and the other one doesn't. So you'd go into it, you'd find the Spotify exe. If you try to double click on this and it doesn't work, then that's the wrong one. So you go back out, go to the other one and try that one. And so I've already done this and I've gotten the path to where my Spotify executable is for the Windows Store app. So I just wanted to show you that first. All right, so I've grabbed the file location for my Spotify executable and I'm going to use run application in Power Automate Desktop. This is pretty simple. I'm just going to paste this directly into the application path. You might want to use variables if it might change. You could also use a Windows environment variable probably for this same thing. That would be kind of useful, but I'm going to be lazy with it right now. I'm going to leave the window style as normal because Spotify is already open in the place I want on the screen, and so it doesn't pop up in other places. I'm just going to leave that like it is. I'm not going to move the window. And then after application launch, I want it to continue immediately. I did already test this. I tried to do wait for application to load, but I had some problems with that, so I'm just going to go with continue immediately. Let's save it. Okay, so we're going to run the application. Let's just test it and make sure it works. Something I like about this is that when you run this, it doesn't matter if Spotify is open but minimized, or if Spotify is closed entirely, this action works by itself. It could require more complex logic, and I'll show you how it can be beneficial to use the run desktop flows action in the case that you needed to change something later on. So let's go ahead and close Spotify. I just right-clicked on it in the task bar, and then I clicked exit. So I'm going to run this, and it should open up Spotify right here on the screen, and there it is. Now let's test if I minimize this. I'm going to run it again. You can see it open up on the screen. Now, you may not be able to see this, but I can see that there's not two instances of Spotify open, so it's smart enough that it's just going to bring Spotify to the foreground, and that's probably a Windows Store app thing, because I don't think you can actually run two instances of a store app, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so we've got run application. Now, remember, this could be more complex logic to launch Spotify. You might would want to use an if-then statement. You might want to check to see if the store app is open already. And then if it's not, then you launch it. If it's open already, then you don't worry about it. Maybe you even have built in there to navigate to a home location right here. So, if it's found to be on the search page, maybe you navigate back to home. This could be more complex, but we're going to leave it like this for now. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to click on a few buttons inside of here. So let's go to actions and type click. Click UI element is what I want. All right, and then the UI element, let's add a UI element, and let's move this out of the way. Okay, we'll go with the home button. I'm going to hold left control and left click, and then whenever the highlighting comes back, I'm going to do search, and then library, create playlist, liked songs. And then I have added one playlist, I guess this is, and I'm going to spy that one as well, but we have to actually make a change to that one. So I've spied those. Let's go ahead and do a couple other things like the play button. That'll be good for now. Okay. In this case, I'm going to choose the home button, save, and I'm just going to duplicate this by hitting Control-C, Control-V, and then I'm going to change this one to search. What I'm going for is clicking one button after another just to kind of simulate what if we were making an automation that used Spotify. I'm not necessarily going to make anything super useful right now. And then after that, we'll have it click liked songs. I'm skipping create playlist because I'm going to do that separately in a minute. And then let's go to hyperlink best classical music. And then we want to click the play button. All right, so I already know that I have to make one edit to this element. Let me show you what happens. If I click another playlist, let me just move this all the way to the top. And we'll put a breakpoint. Okay, so what I want it to do is click best classical music, right? So it should just click here. And it's not going to work if I run this because this part right here, this my playlist 1, has now messed up that element. So I'm going to open up the element and show you what that looks like. Wow, this does not look easy to view. Okay, here we go. So let's go to hyperlink best classical music. And this is something I want to show you because I find it to be useful in troubleshooting why an element isn't being spied. So after you've spied an element, it's working, and then suddenly it stops working. It could be because something about the user interface changed. That element's selector has now changed too. So what I can do is come into here and click the drop down and do selector with recapture. This is going to leave the original selector there. And then I'm going to click on the same thing again. Let's move this out of the way. Hold left control, click this. And now what I can do is compare the two. So wherever I see a difference is the part that I need to adjust. The first node is correct. Second node is the same. Okay, so here it's the third node that has changed. It used to just be actually showing me the entire list of the playlists. And so because there was only one playlist there, it shows best classical music. Now that I added a second playlist, it shows them both right here. Well, what if I add more playlists in the future? It's going to mess up this selector. So I'm just going to go into this original one and I'm going to remove that node so that it'll just use the top two nodes and then the bottom two nodes like this. Let's edit the selector. We'll go to that node, list best classical music. We're going to uncheck this entirely so you can see it got removed from right here. Click update. And then I'm just going to delete this new one that I created. Click close. And so now if I go to click it, even though there is, let's go ahead and create a couple extra playlists just to check and make sure it's going to work. If I run this now, it should work. And there you go. So it clicked this because it's not dependent on those playlist names all being inside the selector. Okay, let's go ahead and stop. I'm going to drag this back down to the bottom where it was, or actually right above the play button. And then for now, I'm not going to use the create playlist button that I added in because I just want to make sure that this works. So first we will test what happens when we going to go ahead and delete these playlists. We know that clicking on that works when there's extra playlists. I'm going to right click on the Spotify icon and click exit. Let's save this. Let's run. So it should open Spotify, and then once it's loaded, then it should click each of those buttons, and it has. And you can see that it's playing. Now I guess you can't hear any sound because I've got the sound muted on my machine. Do I have the sound muted? I don't know if I had the sound muted before, but I don't think I'm recording my desktop noise anyways. So it did all these steps for me. Of course, why would you want to automate that? But the point is, if I had a series of steps I wanted to do, then I could, using Power Automate Desktop pretty quickly inside of Spotify. Now let's say that we wanted to create a playlist. Let's go ahead and create a little extra logic we'll go ahead and use the click UI element. And then let's choose the one for create playlist. And I haven't done this already, so I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work. But let's right click, run from here to click create playlist. Okay, so it did that automatically. And then the next thing I want to do is spy this search box, and then hopefully we can type in some words and then automatically kind of add some songs to our playlist. Normally, probably what I do is have an Excel spreadsheet that we read in and then add those in or something like that. But I'm probably just going to hard code the values that we want to add to our playlist just to kind of simulate what we would do. So let's do another click. I want to add a UI element. This is the one I want. I guess I could go ahead and type into this. Let's see. What's the name of a song? How about We Are the Champions? Okay, We Are the Champions by Queen. Wait, what? Well, there's a bunch of them here. We would need to handle deconflicting which ones we actually add, but I think in this case, we're not really going to worry about it. We could get really complex with it if we needed to. So I think what I need to do is spy this first button, and we're just going to add the first result that comes up. So let's check what this is going to look like, actually. I'm going to go ahead and click add. All right, so when you click add, it goes into the playlist that we've created. And if I needed to add more songs to the same playlist, I could, okay, there's the search. So if we can scroll to the search again, then we'd be able to use it. Okay, let's see how that works out. Let's click done. Add to playlist works. Now, wait, click button, add to playlist. That's not what I want. Let's do type. Wait, how do we type into something again? All right, we'll just have to go to the UI automation section. Form filling, populate, okay, focus text field, populate text field in window. That sounds right. Search for songs. This is the one we want. And we'll just do this, like I said, manually a few times. We are the champions. And then once we've done that, we'll click. So let's copy this and paste it. Drag it down. And I'm going to change this to do add to playlist. So I think hopefully what we'll do is it'll actually click add on whatever the first add button is. That's what I'm going for anyways. All right, I've deleted the playlist. Now we're back to what it looks like before. Let's run this and see what happens. I didn't bring Spotify to the foreground. That's interesting. Okay, it searched. Oh, but it's not. Okay, it can't see the play button though. Let's see if it would have worked if I run from here. Oh, no. Wait, the play button? That's not what I want, is it? No. We want to run from create playlist. No, here. Search, add a playlist. That's what we want to rerun. Run from here. There. So it does work, but our issue was that it wasn't on screen already. So we need to maybe, can we scroll? Is there a scroll? Windows, select, click, select. Let's just search for scroll. No. Once you've typed here, we got to add this. So we have to scroll. Can I send the down arrow key? Let's try something with this scroll bar. Well, is that a thing? Let's see. Drag and drop UI element of a window. Click element to drag. We got to add a UI element. Oh no, it's not going to let me do that. Ooh, does that work? Find more. Nice. Okay, I figured it out. Here's what we're going to do. I need to do a little bit of a workaround because when I go to add a song in a playlist, I can't see the add button for the song over here when I search for it, because the screen's kind of small on my desktop right now because I'm trying to be kind of zoomed in so it's easier for you to read. So we'll just do a little bit of a workaround. I think this wouldn't be an issue if I were using my whole desktop screen to add songs in Spotify. Still, I think it should be a little bit easier than this, but we'll just do a little bit of a workaround for now. Okay, so let's recap where we're at. We have it opening Spotify. It clicks home, search your library, liked songs, and then this specific playlist, and then it clicks play inside that playlist. Then it clicks create playlist. It searches for the song We Are the Champions, and then it clicks add to playlist. Everything works up to here, but it can't see the add to playlist button. So I've actually done two things. One is I went into the options of Spotify and I went to view and I did zoom out. So you can see, like, if I did zoom in like this a couple times, then it's a little harder to see all the elements. So I'm just going to do view, zoom out a couple times. This seems like it's pretty good at this point. I think the words are actually kind of a similar size to some of the words in Power Automate Desktop right now. So we'll leave it like this. This should help a lot. And then we'll do one other workaround to make this work. So I'm going to hit a breakpoint right here. We're going to rerun everything. I'm actually curious. Last time I clicked manually to bring Spotify to the foreground, and that's not what I want it to do. So let's see, foreground, activate. Okay, UI, window, set window state. Okay, so we want to do this, set window state. By window element, window, Spotify, I guess restored? I'm not really sure. Let's try that. And we'll stop it there. That's not quite what I want. Okay, for now, I think there's probably a better way to do this, but I feel like I'm doing a bunch of workarounds, but I'm going to minimize the window first. Then we're going to set the window to be restored, so it should minimize the Spotify window and then restore it so that it should be in the foreground at that point. Let's just try. Run it. So it's launching. Set the window to minimized and then set it to restored. And now it's back in the foreground. Cool. After that, we want it to continue clicking and I want it to stop here. So I'm going to hit play, run. Now that's interesting. It actually brought the window to the foreground just now on its own. I didn't do that. So maybe some of these actions actually have that built in. Oh, you know what? It can't find the play button. Yeah, I messed it up a little bit there. It should be trying to populate the search field. Let's let it do that one more time. Okay. Search. So let's have a little bit of a 2-second delay before it runs that. Run from here. And then I'll click back over here. Oh, wait. This is inside the create playlist thing, isn't it? Okay. Let's try this again. We want to create a playlist. So let's run from there. It should create the playlist and then search for the song. Okay, and now here's where it could click add, and you can see there is actually enough room here, so I guess I'll let it go ahead and click add for this first one. Let's make this window smaller. Okay, let's step. All right, it's failing to click this button. Let's just work on this a little bit then, I guess. Add to playlist. Let's see what might be wrong here. I mean, it could be any of these issues. So let's just remove a bunch of this stuff and let's see if we can have it click the first one. Actually, I guess 0 would be it. Like that. Let's see if it'll click now. Cool. So it clicked the first add button. That looks good to me. And now we have a working workflow all the way up to this point. Just because I can't help myself, I want to fix adding multiple items to the playlist. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the way it works is that I need to be able to search here in this box. But the problem is the search results are super low down here. And I can't see them. I could zoom out more, but then it'd be harder for me to read the text. So what we're going to try is to click this X, and then it's going to show a button we can click on to find more. Then we'll search again, and then I think at that point the results will be high enough on the page or on the screen that we'll be able to see it. Okay, so we want to click a UI element again. We need to add UI element, and we're going to do this X. Hopefully that's the first X that matches. Let's, I'm not actually sure. We'll click the X manually. Okay, so there's that find more. And then once we click find more, now it kind of automatically brings us down. It does that scroll action that I can't figure out how to do in Power Automate. And then we will, it's possible that the original search bar that we used before will work. So I may not have to recreate this element again. So let's try that. Okay, here we got to click the X. I just duplicated that, and now we need to click the find more text. Then we need to try populating the text field again with a different song. Let's move this down. What's another song? We're going to add Happy Birthday. Once we've added this, or once we've searched for it, we need to add to playlist. Granted, I could do a loop. I know maybe somebody's watching right now. You could probably do that a loop, but like I'm just trying to make it happen for now. So we search for it, we add it, and then I'm going to count that as a success because if we can add this second one, then we could add any more that we wanted to. While we're on this screen, actually, I'm just going to run the whole workflow again. So let's delete the playlist and see how it goes. Minimize, restore it, home, search your library, liked songs, click the playlist. Oh, it's not going to work. Okay. It just clicked play. And then it clicked create playlist. Now it's searching. It should add the first song. Then it should click the X. Then find more. Then search for the song. Here's where it could break. Oh, it worked. Add the first song. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. What I've just shown you is building a workflow that granted is not that complex, but it's got enough stages that it gets a little confusing and it's doing different kinds of things, right? So like some of it is clicking to go play a playlist. And then another one is actually adding a playlist and putting songs into it. Those are two different kinds of workflows that you'd want to split up. Before June 2021 in Power Automate Desktop, we couldn't do that as separate workflows and expect them to work together. But in this update, the Run Desktop Flow action is available to us. So let's look at how you can use that. What I'm about to try, I've never actually done before, so I don't know how smoothly this works. But what I'd like to do is create a new desktop flow and copy these actions into it and use the new one as our new flow and have this old one for reference if we needed it. But I have actually no idea if this will work easily. Let's name this Spotify open. And the idea here is this flow is just for the purpose of getting Spotify open on our screen. If that means it needs to launch or it needs to just minimize and maximize it, whatever it is, it will do the work to make sure that it gets to that point. Now, there's no actions in here, no UI elements. What I'm hoping is that I can, oh, well, this one doesn't really need a UI element, does it? Well, setting the window state does. So let's copy these three. I just clicked this bottom one. I'm holding Shift and then clicking the top one, and it should auto-select all three of them. I'm going to hit Control-C on my keyboard to copy. Click over to this other window, Control-V, and let's see if it brings over. It brought over the UI element. What? Okay. Does it work, though? Let's try it. So this should run Spotify, which won't do anything because it's open already. It should minimize it and then maximize it. Well, not maximize, it'll restore it. Okay. I'm impressed. That was a lot easier than I expected it to be. I thought I was going to have to go recreate all the UI elements. All right, now we've just saved this. So now this is effectively a reusable desktop flow that I can use in other flows. Let's close this now because I don't really need it anymore. And let's create another, so as I go along, I'm going to disable these because these have already been taken care of. Let's see. So the next set of actions I need to take care of are just the ones where it's like clicking around. Let's do these four. New flow. We'll just call this Spotify click around. I'm going to paste them over here. And you can see it brought over oh, wow, that is nice. Okay, it brought over the UI elements. We'll save this. Close it. And then back in this original window where we made our flow originally, I'm just going to right click on these and hit disable since we've moved them over now. And then the next thing I need to do is play. So let's make a Spotify flow called Spotify play. Let's do play playlist because that's what it does specifically. Okay. Where is it? Play playlist. Okay. So what we want is these two. Let's copy, paste. We're going to do a little bit of work on this because there is another piece to this I wanted to show you, which is that you can use inputs and outputs. In your flow, you should have, here we go. Here's the window. You can create input and output parameters, or I guess variables they call it here. And so I'm going to do that for the name of the playlist and try to get it to click on whatever playlist I want it to play based upon the input that I give it. So variable type input, we'll call this playlist and playlist, same for the external name. There's only two data types we can use, text and sensitive text. And in my testing, this was actually rather annoying. Just to mention, you can make number inputs in case you're watching this and you're like, well, how do I do a number if I want? Just use a text and then inside your workflow, multiply your text by 1 and then Power Automate Desktop will automatically convert that into a number data type. As far as other data types, I don't know. So let's do that, create, and that's all we want. I guess I could have it output something too. So just to show that we can do it, let's make an output parameter called success. Oh wait, let's do this. We'll do an output parameter called error message. I think I spelled that wrong. Error message. And if the error message is empty, then there was no error. If there was a problem, then it'll be filled. And then let's go ahead and make sure this works. So we've got to, oh right, we have to change our UI element. How do we do this again? You have to edit this. Let's go to this one. Edit selectors, and then I think how it works is you can just put like a variable in one of these. How does this work again? Do I just go like this? Playlist? Is that right? Update. Ideally, it would take whatever's in our variable right here. So let's set the default value of playlist to be something. Let's create, oh, here we go. My playlist 1 exists. So let's rename this really quick to test. And our default value will be test for the playlist. And I would think this will work. Wait, this says hyperlink best classical music. That's not really accurate, but okay. So what we should see it do is click into test and then click play. Let's go to home, run it again. Cool. Okay, so now what we've done is provide ourselves a way of being able to play a playlist from any other workflow, and we don't have to worry about the internal logic of it by encapsulating or abstracting it from us inside of a desktop flow that can be called from anywhere. Now, there's another piece that you might want to do here, and that's calling a desktop flow at the top that handles making sure this is in the foreground or to make sure that Spotify is open, that kind of thing. But really that comes down to how you decide to architect it. Now let's go ahead and close this. And then I think we have a little bit of logic left. We need to move over. So we've already done these two, so let's disable them. Okay, we need to create a playlist. So let's just take this entire logic and create another flow called Spotify create playlist. Paste all those in. And then it should just work like it is. This is a part where we'd probably want to use our inputs. We'll go ahead and leave it like it is for now and save this. Let's make sure this works. So this should create a playlist and add a song to it. It's okay that we already have a playlist. It should just work anyways. It did something different this time. Let's try it one more time. I'm not really intending for this to be super robust because obviously you want error handling and stuff, but I'm surprised that it messed up. Okay, it's doing something weird. It's failing to click, I guess, that X. No, the text find more. It's not clicking the close image. For some reason, it's clicking up here instead. Let's troubleshoot that a little bit. Close. Edit selector. Okay, ordinal 2. I don't know what's up with that. We don't want that. Image close. I don't know if this is necessarily a great idea. I'm afraid it might click this close button. Let's just try let's see what happens if we go with an ordinal of 0 and a name of close. I have no idea how well that will work. Okay, we want it to click this. Let's try run from here. Okay, that worked. Wait, what? What's going on here? Find more. I think it clicked that. And then it didn't. Okay, for whatever reason, it didn't populate this field. So let's make another little change. Should be a way to, okay, I may have to do a little bit of a wait here, but let's just try it one more time and see what happens. From the beginning, run it from the top. Yeah, it's doing some weird thing. Question is it doing that weird thing just because Spotify is doing that, or because when we try to populate the text field, Spotify can't figure out what's going on? So we could wait for contains UI element, check UI element state. And we want to wait for the edit. Specify whether you want the action to wait indefinitely or fail after a set period of time. Wait, fail with timeout error. Duration, 5 seconds. All right. So let's try this again. Wait, let's make sure we put that in the right place. We did a wait for window content before clicking add. We actually want to do it here before typing into search for it. If it still messes up at this point, then I think I might put some breakpoints in and run it again. And again, I don't need this to be perfectly robust. I just want it to work well enough for our demos. But at the same time, I'm going to show you this because I don't want it to seem like everything I make is just working the first time. Okay, cool. So we added both of the songs. It did appear as though it just needed a little bit of a wait before it went and entered into the search field right here. So that's one of our workflows that we can now use as reusable, create a playlist kind of thing. Granted, it's not finished. We would need to use some input and output parameters, and we would need to use loops or better error handling and stuff like that if we really wanted this to work properly. But I just want to show a concept. So let me show you the first step that I would suggest in using run a desktop flow. To make sure that Spotify is open on the screen, we could open every one of these and call this Spotify open desktop flow. Right at the beginning, run desktop flow. Let's put this right here. And let's call Spotify open. Save this and then save it. Let's go ahead and add this to the click around desktop flow. Run desktop flow. Choose Spotify open. And then the last one is going to be, actually that's it. So, and remember this has everything in it and we're not actually running that. Now, if I were to run this by itself, then it will make sure that Spotify is open. So let me close Spotify entirely. And so you won't see this thing run at all because when it calls another desktop flow, it doesn't trigger another session. It's going to call it sort of as a subflow within the same workflow that it's doing. And then it executed its own steps and clicked all these buttons. And now we're good to go. We probably should go ahead and test create a playlist. So let's do that too. And you can see I don't have to worry about whether Spotify is open or in the foreground or any of that stuff because my other desktop flow for Spotify open is just going to handle that for me. It looks like it's going well. It's adding even the second song. Awesome. So we're good to go. If now let's say that Spotify is open in a different way. Something changed about how Spotify is open and the old logic no longer works. I could have had all that same logic copied and pasted and duplicated across every workflow, every desktop flow that involves Spotify. But now that I've used another desktop flow called as sort of a subflow, if I needed to change something, I just open that one desktop flow and then I can come in here and I can make whatever changes I need to it, say to the path, or say the window state wasn't working properly and it wasn't bringing it to the foreground. And so I needed to try some other technique. I just make that update in one place, save it, and then now all these other ones are effectively updated as well. And that is so awesome. We can go one more step with this and make ourselves a desktop flow for Spotify or for more things, and it calls these other ones in succession. So let's try that. I'm going to create a flow called master flow. And inside this, I'm going to put the various desktop flows that I want to run throughout the day, or maybe in the morning when I get up and I want to run a few things, I can click run and it'll just run one right after the other. So let's do run desktop flow. And in here, let's go ahead and do the ones that we just made. So let's run Spotify first. Because, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you can't read. It's you're really tired and stuff. You just want to make things work. So you just click a button and it opens things up, starts your music for you, maybe opens up your workspace and different apps, checks your email or whatever. So let's use click around first for Spotify. Then we will do Spotify, create a playlist. I don't know why you would create a playlist every morning, but you know, this is just so that we're doing something. And then let's test this one. So we want to pass in, let's pass in best classical music for Spotify Play. Okay, so we've got our input variable, best classical music, and you can see it gives me an error message output if I wanted to check that. It should take this value and use that whenever it goes to click on a UI element for a playlist. And then we can do some other things. So let's say we also want to use RPA challenge right here. Save that. Is there anything else we want to do? All right. This is one thing I was doing just to show how you could use input and output parameters. So we could do a little bit of math. So let's multiply 5 times 5 and make sure we get back 25. I don't remember if I supported multiplication, so let me just leave it as addition. So 5 plus 5 should be 10, and we should get that as a result. And then let's do like a message box. Display. What is it? Display a message? Display message. Oh man, I can't even see this. Okay, display message. And then we'll put that variable into it. Result. The result is, and then it should come back as 10. Keep message always on top. Click OK. Cool. Let's save this. Okay, so now we've done a bunch of different logic, all called from one desktop flow, and I can manage these all separately. It is so nice, and this looks and feels so clean. What I especially like is that the variables from inside of these desktop flows don't show up here. Whereas when you use subflows, if I were to create a subflow and then put logic inside of that, the variables are global across the whole desktop flow, and that is so annoying. I need to be able to define scope for a variable so that they don't get extremely confusing. So here we go. We're going to try this out, see how it runs. If any windows pop up in the wrong place on my desktop, I'm going to manually move those over here because I have not actually tested this. I have no idea what's going to happen here, and it might fail. But ideally it won't because we built it really well, right? Okay, let's go ahead and close Spotify too. Okay, it's open Spotify, right? Because remember, inside of those other desktop flows, we called the Spotify open desktop flow so that it handles making sure it's open. Okay, so now we've done the clicking around. Now we're adding the playlist and we're adding the 2 songs into the playlist. The next thing is it should click on best classical music, click play, and then it should open up rpachallenge.com and fill it out extremely fast. And now it's done. It should pop up a message. Oh, there it is. Cool. Now, it did not actually type the text that I thought it would. I'm not sure if I did something wrong there, but it only says, obviously I did something wrong in this other desktop flow that I did. I can't remember what state I left it in, but whatever. You can see clearly that it did pass in the values 5 and 5. It's just that for whatever reason, I must have left it in a broken state and it passed back the wrong value. Although that is weird that it didn't save this. Test. Okay, so it did. I must have just clicked cancel or something. That seems very weird. Maybe because I changed this. That's what it was. I think when you click some of these down here, man, that is so annoying. When you click like buttons like this inside of a dialog menu inside of Power Automate Desktop, it'll like delete what you have up here. So as you can see, running a desktop flow from inside of another desktop flow can be extremely useful. And I mean, this is probably the best change of any change that I've noticed in months. I don't know why it took this long to make, but I'm super glad it's here. Now, if we can just get data table manipulation, then I'll be almost completely happy, and I'll consider this to be usable, because this is pretty amazing. Being able to run a desktop flow from within another desktop flow is such a huge quality of life change. Granted, you can have still the same functionality as before, but before you had to make these massive, massive desktop flows that do all kinds of stuff, and it was just super complex. And then you would end up having tons of UI elements here, and then tons of variables here. It was just impossible to read. And now that we can separate these out, then we can encapsulate, abstract, whatever you want to call it. We can put logic in different places and then kind of orchestrate by calling them when we want to. This is so amazing. And this change right here is probably going to cause me to use Power Automate Desktop a lot more. And I think I might start making more videos because it's going to be a lot easier for me to make individual pieces of functionality that kind of work together to perform some greater project goal. Let me know in the comments what you think. I read all the comments, and I'll respond to them and stuff. This is super interesting to me. Are you having any problems with Power Automate Desktop? Let me know, and I'll try to look into it. I don't know everything. I may not know any more than you do, but it's at least another person who can kind of help to try to troubleshoot. And if there's anything you're interested in, let me know, because sometimes I don't know what I should make a video about. Sometimes I'm just limited to my level of knowledge. But in this case, I've already made it pretty clear I don't know much about this tool. I'm just having fun learning as you guys are, right? So let me know what you want me to try next, and I'll see if I can fit it in. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.